A Labour government is coming. Be careful what you wish for. The cervix-free leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, isn't even in number 10 yet, but his party are in the throes of an all-out civil war. There are rumours of possible resignations from the shadow cabinet, and over 250 Labour councillors have signed a letter challenging Starmer's position on Israel, which he says has a right to defend itself. Although there seems to be a difference between what he told LBC's Nick Ferrari and what he told ITV News hours later.
I'm very clear. Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself, and Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water? Sakir?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right.
OK, right, so Israel has a right to defend itself, or does it? Here's what Starmer told ITV News shortly after.
I was saying Israel had the right to self-defence, and when I said that right, it was that right to self-defence. I was not saying that Israel had the right to cut off water, food, fuel or medicines.
So according to Starmer, viewers and listeners misheard what he meant. Did we? Or maybe we're just stupid. Let's play it again.
Siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water? Sakir?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right.
I'll let you decide. Guardian columnist Owen Jones furiously labelled Starmer a liar. I shouldn't seek to use such unparliamentary language myself, but it tells you that far from being strong and stable, steady and secure, Starmer is a political accident waiting to happen. Don't take my word for it. Labour backbenchers berated our would-be Prime Minister's position for what they called Israeli war crimes. And to make matters worse, the Labour mayor for London, who seems unbothered by spiralling levels of crime in the capital, choosing to focus his attention on the Middle East. Take a listen.
I joined the international community in calling for a ceasefire. It would stop the killing and would allow vital aid supplies to reach those who need it in Gaza.
Calling for an end to violence is a bit rich from Mayor Khan. I suspect many Londoners would like a ceasefire from the relentless knife crime in his city. And this talk of ceasefire is effectively asking Israel to be a sitting duck to terror. A ceasefire is snake oil language. It's doublespeak for Israel, suck it up. If you thought October the 7th was bad, you don't think Hamas are planning worse? They have only one objective: genocide. And in the face of this rebadged Nazism, you'll continue to see Starmer and his party tie themselves in knots over this important issue. This is off the back of the Labour-supporting unions furious with Starmer's push for net zero, which they believe will harm industry. Labour are split on woke issues too. Having seen what happened to Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland, Starmer wants to limit people's ability to self-ID their gender. That means deciding from one day to the next that you're now a woman rather than a bloke. A sensitive and sensible move from Starmer, but causing unrest among progressive backbenchers who think there are 100 genders. And then there's trouble brewing over Labour's spending pledges. The left of the party want him to splash the cash, but he says there's no money, promising to use the Office for Budget Responsibility as a fig leaf for his prudent investment plans. Starmer's strategy is to say as little as possible and to be more silent than Charlie Chaplin. But Starmer's leadership is starting to look like a silent comedy itself, with more pratfalls than the famous film Tramp could ever dream of. Whenever he does open his mouth and makes a plan, such as calling for closer alignment with Europe, scrapping oil and gas licences or cancelling the Rwanda plan even if it works, Starmer gets himself into immediate hot water. And now, after having more positions on Israel than the Kama Sutra, Starmer once again gets found out when tested. There's a war in the Middle East, but an existential conflict is playing out on those opposition benches too. It's my fear that with a slim majority, Labour as the governing party will frankly be ungovernable. Recent bickering among Tories will look like the Queen's garden party by comparison. Starmer's not even in yet, but he already looks like a cucumber sandwich. This guy always gets himself in a pickle.